righty. Hey, look at that. Just fade right in and we're live again.
Amazing.
For doing a monthly show, doesn't it feel like it's been a while, like a longer time since we were together?
Time's a caution.
Because you traveled from Salt Lake to Dallas.
I know.
How many
it
hours in the
is.
car are going to
Twice. I had
twice?
to drive. It was the unenviable position of loading up the extra large truck all the way like Jenga to the top and then realizing not everything's going to fit. And so we had to go back a week later, rent another truck and drive the 1,250 miles a second time. Because doesn't
Wow,
want that.
that sounds exhausting. By the way, I was last week in your beautiful country. I was
know.
visiting my son in Stanford, so I really enjoyed the Bay Area, south of San Francisco. Wonderful week. Father's quality time.
Was watching those pictures. That's, of course, folks, I grew up, I'm an East Bay person, but yeah, I worked down in Palo Alto and Redwood City and worked on the peninsula for, 8 years. So, there's a lot of things I miss. There's some beautiful areas. There's things that I don't miss, like driving across a bridge every day.
At a big bridge.
Yeah. And then it was so much that when you drive, you commute so far that you know the traffic patterns, like, okay, there's something going on. I'm going to go down to the further away bridge because it'll probably be faster.
Yeah. Bridges and traffic. It's just, you can't escape it.
That's right. Well, and here we are, episode 19.
Amazing.
Do you feel older?
I still feel like 19.
Yeah, I feel like kind of 16, episode 17-ish. I don't feel episode 19.
No, I mean, but there are times like we get the
gray.
meat right and everything. We grow.
Well, thank you, folks, for joining. This series, of course, is a monthly webcast focused on the rapidly evolving and expanding Microsoft 365 governance story. And boy, that's not just the phrase that we use. There's stuff that's going on constantly. Our goal is to share insights, best practices, and the latest information about new governance features and capabilities within M365. So we are dedicated to everything governance within the Microsoft 365 ecosystem. So if you have questions or comments or thoughts on how what we should cover or guests that we should have on the show, please comment. And for this 19th episode, we welcome fellow Microsoft MVP and manager of experience tech at global partner Avanade, Michael Roth. And I guess we could add him in now. Hey, Michael.
Yeah.
Hello there. Hello.
Great to see you. Tell us more about what you do in the day-to-day and specifically tasks around governance and your interest in this.
I not specifically work in the M365 area, but in Power Platform. And I am in the very lucky position to take care about the fun parts in Power Platform. Power Platform is a huge space, and I think we can all agree that the fun parts are administration, governance, and security, right? I mean, that's why we are here. What that means is basically, Chris, you said it very well. There's a rapidly evolving and expanding world of governance, and that is, first of all, trying to keep track of everything that's happening.
Yeah.
That is a task on its own. And then what I do basically on a daily basis is I teach administrators what it means to be administrator in the Microsoft world, especially in the Power Platform world. Because apparently, I don't know why, but when it comes to Power Platform, Microsoft publishes new features and new releases. And after that, they think about how to administer that, how to govern that. How do we do that? So I think the role of the Power Platform administrator needs a little bit more love, because most of the people I know, they are, experts in Power Platform, but then they went to the wrong meeting at the wrong time, and boom, all of a sudden they're a Power Platform administrator and they're completely lost. And
SharePoint days. Apparently, if you tried to fix a problem for yourself and then somebody decrees you're now the expert on SharePoint for our organization. Yeah.
Absolutely. That's why I never fix problems in SharePoint.
But yeah, we get suckered in with Power Platform, though. This thing. Maybe a great place to start on this. Why do so many organizations struggle to establish governance around Power Platform? It's not a new concept. The core components have been there, as we were talking about, back with old information management systems and then SharePoint and kind of all the various components. Why do they struggle with this?
I think there are two main reasons. The one reason that I see every now and then is more or less the technical bit. When you are a Power Platform administrator or you do have the rights, then that doesn't mean that you can do everything that a Power Platform administrator needs to do in order to come up with a good governance, because you need to be connected. It's a team effort, like most of the things. In order to set something up, you would need good connections and be good friends with the global administrator, the user administrator, the exchange administrator, and so on and so on. Teams, SharePoint. So it's a group effort. And that seems like a challenge to get into it, because you can only see this much while this much is happening on the platform. That is one thing. And the other things that I hear quite often actually is the customers often says, well, Microsoft says it's easy. It's low code and everyone can do it. So why do I have to take care? And
Well,
yeah, that
AI
is,
just fix that. So we have Copilot now. Doesn't it just then know what to do?
AI says everything.
but also AI brought us to the situation where we are in right now. So it's sometimes for some organizations, at least when they pop up AI and Copilot, a lot of
Yeah.
things pop up all of a sudden, and then you are sometimes in a messy situation, and then you need to clean up things. So not yet. I think Copilot can't save us yet. And at least from the organizational part, we have to put in some thoughts, and maybe we need to take some decisions. And for example, like question like, what would you use a Power Platform for and why? And Copilot can't really answer that if you don't give it further information. So that are things that you have to decide. And otherwise you're just like, you run with the default settings. And this is by Microsoft, everyone has access to everything. Good luck with that.
Yeah.
I mean, it's nice. It's enabling everyone to do something. But from an administrator point of view or security point of view, I don't know.
That's currently also the number one challenge when rolling out Copilot agents built in Copilot Studio, which is part of the Power Platform family. That all the agents, there are no permissions like, okay, this agent goes to this security or M365 group, rolled out globally.
Yeah.
That's one of the biggest things why customers always say, listen, Ragnar, I understand the value of agents. I really understand the value, but we are not going to roll it out because of this missing permission concept.
For example, and the communication is kind of slow around the whole thing. We just learned that last week when a lot of my customers said, I do have a new environment in my Power Platform Admin Center. It's called M365 environment. What is it? Where does it come from? I said, well, I don't know. And apparently the M365 Copilot can use scheduled prompts now, which is a really nice feature, right? Every week you can get the same prompts. I love it. But that creates another environment called M365 environment. And as administrator, when suddenly there's a new environment, all the alarm bells ring off and you're like, wait, what's happening here? And there was no documentation. Now we have that like a week later, only a week. It's kind of fast, but still, I got a lot of emergency tickets.
Hashtag Evergreen, right? Ever changing, is evolving. And I kind of joke with some of our customers that it's kind of how we get our adrenaline rush. Like, I'm not going to go bungee jumping, but when something new pops up and things change very quickly, you said it's a full-time job to stay up to date. So it's hard.
Yes, exactly. Take away bungee jumping is more or less the same like consulting. Okay, got it.
Well, about a year and a half ago, I mean, the primary governance topic that Microsoft seemed to be promoting was the COE, the idea around Power Platform specifically. Like go out and build out, take advantage of the center of excellence, build that out and use that benefit. It's kind of gone quiet on, that model. I don't know if organizations are kind of pushing back like, hey, this isn't meeting our needs, or now that we have the rise of Copilot, if it doesn't quite fit that scenario the same way. What's your experience there? Is that something that are you still working with clients around deploying a COE in their environments?
Well, first of all, it got a little bit quiet around the COE Starter Kit. That's true, but that's due to the managed environments. Microsoft took a lot of the functionalities from the COE Starter Kit and put those into managed environments, which is nice. And now we are not really sure what's the future of the COE Starter Kit, because there's been rumors about PowerCat tools that would take part of the functionality as well. There have been rumors about a COE version 2. We don't know that yet, but you won't guess what I did just in the last 6 hours at the customers. I deployed the COE Starter Kit because I think it's still valid today and still an absolute necessity for every administrator and everyone working with governance and security or monitoring, basically. Still a lot of good information there, amazing synchronization flows. This is one of the basics that everyone needs to have.
Now I'm
Still.
curious. So tell us more about the, let's say, top 5 features where you always recommend to use Center of Excellence, and what are things that where it does not offer any kind of help, where it really shows great weaknesses.
I would start with a weakness because it's more or less just one. And that is now every app and every flow in this COE Starter Kit is, or every app is a model-driven app, which is nice. Model-driven apps, they're good, but especially they require a premium license, a Dataverse license. And when I tell my customers there are lots of great apps in there and every user can use them, every maker can use them, you just need to have premium license for all of your workforce. They usually say, no, a little bit too expensive. So this is one of the challenges that I see, the same with managed environments, basically, that the customers would need to cherry pick who is allowed to use it and who not. That is something where I don't see the COE used all too often. But the point is, where it still is super strong and very good, is the synchronization flows. So what happens if you roll it out is there are synchronization flows that crawl through your tenant and get every object from Power Platform, like every flow, every app, every user, every solution, every environment, everything that you have, and puts this in this one model-driven app. It's called Power Platform Admin View. And it's an amazing app with a dashboard in front, and you see everything. Everything is connected. It is by far the best opportunity and possibility to monitor your Power Platform and see what's going on. And for that, you just need the administrator account or a small team working with that. It's still way better than the administration center from Power Platform. So this is the one app that I use on a day-to-day basis, basically. And beyond that, so what's making this possible is all the Dataverse tables that are filled with data. And I love those Dataverse tables because quite often I use and build my own automation around my own necessities in my organization, just on the foundation of those Dataverse tables. So those synchronization flows and those tables are pure gold and let me do basically whatever I want because I have all the data. It's so much in there. That's pretty cool. So maybe I use the COE just as an opportunity to jump a little bit into my own automation, but it's still absolutely valid and an amazing thing.
Are you still seeing organizations that are, I don't know the right way to phrase this. I just remember back in the SharePoint days, the early, so the decade ago, there were a number of organizations that were just very tightly controlling, managing the governance, the activities. They're constantly reviewing and auditing all the different, what's happening on that. Are these the right people? Do they have the right permissions? What are they doing? How are they using that? That's another area where I don't see the conversation as much being at that level of detail. It's a higher level. And I don't want to see that organizations have kind of given up on, that level of visibility, being aware of what's happening in their orgs. I mean, what do you see? Do you still have a lot of customers that are way to describe this, tightly?
And Michael, before you answer, could I add a second question? Are you using PureView to audit and monitor the Power Platform? Because currently we talked about COE, but PureView also has some capabilities for auditing, and that would be interesting if you see value, in PureView.
And that's an area that's changing rapidly as well.
Yes.
We're going to have Erica Tully back on the series here in the next month or so, talking about the latest updates there.
Towards the first question, do I see governance still as a tight thing? That's how I would describe it. Lots of my customers are in Germany, and we love rules and regulations and all this kind of stuff. So I do have this regular conversation with my customers who say, okay, we want to know everything what's happening in Power Platform and around. We really want to manage and control it closely. And then we talk about why would you manage and control it in that tight manner? And what do you get from that? Because usually, and then this comes a little bit to monitoring, my customers say, we want everything. We want to know everything that's happening. We want all this data collected, for example, from Purview. And then my follow-up question is why? What do you do with that data? Do you look at that data? Do you do something with that? And if they say, well, we don't know, but just in case we want to have that, then I usually congratulate them because their database capacity will fill up rapidly and they will need to buy more capacity, which is a great opportunity for Microsoft, obviously, but not so much for their own governance idea. And then we have this conversation, what is governance actually for? What do you get from it? Why should you use it? In what form? And then the viewpoint changes a little bit.
I think we Germans, we just have a kink on controlling in governance.
But I mean, the important part of that is visibility, knowing what's happening.
Yep.
Because as we all know, we've all experienced, is that when you're not at least occasionally going through and looking at what people are doing, you have the opposite problem. Is like, it's not that you're capturing all that data out there. You have solutions which are then abandoned, or things that aren't architected properly. There could be IP risk added in with some of these solutions if you're not looking at this. I mean, this is especially a delicate area. Well, now you have the level of Copilot automation. You've got that these AI-driven workflows that will then be able to kick off other work and create other assets.
Yep.
There's a lot concerned about.
It's not just risk there too. So let's say you do have one area of the business that has done something magical that could be a good benefit to the other areas of the business too.
Everybody knows.
Yeah. If there's not that oversight, how do you socialize it? And governance, having that oversight over things could definitely help with that.
Exactly.
Conversation I have this week, Ragnar, I would say Germans don't have the monopoly on needing that strict control. The orchestra, we position ourselves for like governance, our Copilot readiness, right? Governance automation platform. So I was talking to a gentleman who's trying to figure out what the heck to do to get ready for Copilot. He's the Power Platform guy, and I've not figured out if he's like the self-appointed Copilot savior that's trying to come and figure it out for this big organization. But he's like, well, how do I find out what everyone's doing with Copilot once we have it? I was like, wait, what do you mean by that? He's like, I need to be able to see anything that anyone is doing with anything in Copilot. It's governance, right? Like, no. Is it 99? So I'm sure
Application compliance is going to be his best friend. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Location compliance.
Well, when you put the concept of automation in front of business leaders and executives, right, there's naturally going to be some fear now that all these things are going to be automatically happening. So, I mean, it could be a very circular conversation for sure.
I mean, the point about visibility and is kind of valid. I mean, I remember when the Power Platform came out, and one of the big arguments was like, we had people building macros and automations in Excel, but we couldn't see them. That's basically shadow IT. So with the Power Platform, we get rid of that, and then now we recreate that with when we don't have good governance and good oversight over what's happening. As you say, like, there's also many valuable opportunities. If someone creates something magical, love that phrase, by the way, how do we bring that to all the others so they don't have to recreate it in their own way? That is something that's absolutely possible. And this recreation of shadow IT is somewhat absurd because we have done this for I don't know how many years now.
Yeah. I mean, that's always the issue. You want visibility, but you don't want to create bottlenecks. I love the whole brown bag lunch and learn type model, where coworkers are sharing, here's what I've built. It might not even be finished, but they're talking about it. They're sharing their best practice on it. And people then can share it like, oh, I could see some use out of that. I could do something, or I did something similar, but here's how I approach that. It's like the formation of a user group internally, but it's just a great friendly model for that to kind of share that learning. It's also an opportunity then to go and do the community management side of that and say, okay, actually, that's not a healthy practice. Here's why. If you did it this way, that it would stay compliant, it would stay within the standards. You could have those discussions. You can kind of reinforce then, here's the way to go and build. Here's what you need to go and check. Maybe you don't have it locked down. You let anybody build anything. And this is true with Copilot. You go build these agents, great. but we're here as a resource. If you want us to review, maybe you approach it that way. It's much softer. You're not restricting, but you're saying, hey, have you scheduled time with one of our Copilot experts just to take a look at the way that you've built it and give you any tips on how you might improve it? That might be an approach.
Yeah.
Giving you visibility without stopping the work from being done.
Without a stranglehold.
Less of a stranglehold.
Yeah, and if you, in the end, if everyone can build everything, and it's going faster and faster with Copilot, like every day. More applications are built, more flows are built. Not only those who really work in the end. So you have lots of tests, and what you create is technical debt as well.
Yeah.
And if your environments get cluttered, then your capacity will get eaten up. And technical debt, basically, even from an ecological point of view, you could see that that's not very a good practice. Basically, to have old data lying around and use databases just for technical debt and stuff that you don't use anymore. So the visibility is also good for cleaning up and just not getting confused, because picking this one app from 300 is tricky. But if you just have the 5 that you use, then it's easier to find them and to use them.
And good lifecycle management on the M365 side, right?
Yes.
It's principle. They all relate and they're all relevant on some level.
Yeah, absolutely.
Michael, which of your recommendations you always share with your customers are always accepted and customers are really doing it immediately? And which other great recommendations customers never follow because it sounds too awkward, difficult, however?
Well, the first recommendation customers never follow is first think about the governance and administration and security before you roll out the whole thing. I mean, I just have a customer right now, and they have a organizational carve-out, so they are migrating to a new tenant, a fresh tenant. No one has ever touched it. This is like a green field, and it's like, great, we have an absolutely amazing opportunity right now here. And they were like, yeah, I think we are going to migrate the data first, and then we set up all the. And so I was like, no, please don't. But that is a lesson they have to learn, and then they have to pay for that lesson because you touch it twice. First for migrating, then for cleaning it up, and then for setting up the rules for the future. Not my decision, but hey. I think that is a recommendation most customers tend to ignore. The other one, this is once again, especially for all those organizations who like to have a feeling of tight control and to be very close to their maker and all the data, that I think maybe, especially in Germany, the idea is still that governance is something bad and security is something that limits your opportunities and that slows you down. I do have a small approach or a little bit of a thought experiment that I always use. And when I do that, most of my customers say, yeah, maybe you're right. And that is about traffic rules, basically. So I go for when we would live in a world without traffic rules, like without traffic lights and without any signs, how would you be in traffic? How would you drive your car? You would be hesitant. You would be slowly because you have the constant fear of someone's crushing into you or taking the right of way before you, something like that. Maybe you would even participate in traffic at all because you wouldn't feel safe. Would you bring your kids in your car in a world where we don't have any rules on the streets? Probably not. But if we have traffic rules, then everyone knows what to do. Everyone knows how to behave. You can still decide to ignore those rules, but we know what happens. But then you don't drive slowly and hesitant, but in fact, you know what to do. You know your limits. You know your guardrails. You can even bring your kids in a car and feel kind of safe with it. And that is this image that I use for governance, because governance doesn't slow you down. It gives you the guardrails and the frame where you can do what you are allowed to do. And that basically speeds things up in the end. And this is something, if you bring it like that, most of my customers follow that good governance is actually an enabler and not something that slows you down.
Yeah.
The beautiful analogy.
And also it creates peace of mind, which is beautiful because then I can focus on my business, on my really things that really matters on the business, because I don't have to live in this constant fear as you just described, Michael. Yeah. Peace of mind is a big value for enterprises and end users.
Yeah.
Exactly. Don't know what's allowed.
And it's like, basically, we're going to put the rules in place that protect you from doing something you shouldn't be able to do. So once you're in there, you can do whatever is available to you. You're not going to break anything. You're not going to get in trouble for anything.
Yeah.
Power.
Pretty much. And I've seen a lot of those examples where things went wrong, like an oopsie.
Mhm.
And then we have a custom connector to some, let's say, adult internet sites in a business environment. And I was like, is that supposed to be there? Was it a test? I don't know, but it's in production somehow.
Yeah.
Yes. And we do have screenshots for that.
Well, you have to have documentation.
Well, right.
Yes, exactly. We have documentation. That is the right way. Yeah.
There's the future research to make sure it doesn't happen again that needs to be studied. So
Absolutely. Yep.
the earlier point that you made too about the greenfield environment. It's funny. I was just doing a training yesterday and brought that up, and a question came up. I said, "Well, here's the way that I would do it if you're starting out, and I would do it this way." And I just kind of paused intentionally, left a dramatic pause there. The inevitable question is like, "Yeah, we're not at the beginning. We've already messed a bunch of things up. Like, so is everybody else."
Yes,
This is
that's
a
the point.
rare scenario. Now, here's the real world scenario. Here's your approach there. There are a lot of things that are the same, but it begins with going and doing an audit, understanding at least at a high level, like what is out there, what's being done, where are the centers of gravity of where people are building these solutions, and then starting to review those things. It's you can always like I like the guardrails because I like the bowling scenario. You can have the guardrails up and still throw a gutter ball. It's possible. Yeah.
You throw it wrong
Yeah.
enough.
Right.
Yes. You should
But-
try hard.
Right. But you have to be a special kind of good to be able to get the gutter ball with the guardrails up. No, but it dramatically increases your chances of success by having them up. And you can mid-game decide, yeah, let's put the guardrails up in a game of bowling. Same with governance. You can at any time, you don't even have to pause the activity, but you can say, okay, hey, we're going to go and institute these things just to put some guardrails up. And it might seem like an inconvenience at first.
Different.
Again, not stopping people from building things, but having experts and saying, but has this solution you've built, has it been peer reviewed by one of these experts or something like that? Or just peer review model. Just so you have a second pair of bears looking at and going down a checklist of, hey, here's a few things. Does it comply with these? Okay, good to go. Or if it doesn't meet those, all right, what could we do without stopping you from working? Are there some things we can do to modify this?
Yeah, well, you will probably run into the situation where if you put, for example, a new data loss prevention policy in place, some things will stop working all of a sudden. That is usually where I, with my customers, try to figure out, do we inform beforehand, like each and every maker, that we are going to do some things? And if they experience any issues, just please contact us, or do we go the screen test? Just switch it off and see who screams what's happening. So usually it's a mix of both. It's a mixed approach. But yeah, that can happen. And then we are again and a lot with the user communication. Like then all of a sudden the administrators have to talk to users or be prepared that there are lots of tickets coming in.
Christian, my last idea for today is this would also be a nice addition to PureView Compliance Manager, because what you just described is a mixture of documentation, a delegation of tasks, and that's something what we could use in the Compliance Manager, because currently there are some assessments like GDPR, in EU AI Act, and many others. But here there could be a Power Platform Governance assessment, and then all the task delegation with deadlines and uploaded documentation and screenshots could be there in a single
Source of truth, basically. Yeah.
single source of truth. Thank you. Yeah.
Yes, there is something similar in the COE Starter Kit. I just remember there's a DLP assessment that if you create a new data loss prevention policy, it will run an assessment which apps and flows will be affected, which is very nice. But if you just mentioned Purview, I didn't answer your question. I do use Purview a lot lately because it's becoming more relevant. It's something new that is not inherently Power Platform and not inherently M365. That is, once again, where the boundaries are blurring and I have to contact other people. I need new roles and I need new access models. And it's like, and I have to learn something new again. Yay.
Yeah.
Every day is school day.
And there's the admin side of things. There's also just the end user, power user side of things, and how, like, my mind went to like the communication, the community aspect of how do we talk, we circulate this. I mean, that aspect of having the formal, COE model, and if you've got Engage to go and have a community there for that. If you're just a Teams SharePoint shop, then you can create a team that is around this. You can have all those artifacts out SharePoint, use connections, have kind of a whole dashboard for that experience, but a centralized location to share those best practices for people to ask questions. It's critical to have those feedback loops in place so people know, don't have to have all the answers, but I know where to go to get the answers. Or at least post the questions so that together we can not know the answer.
Use more Viva Engage for governance topics.
Right.
At least a place to vent. If I don't get the answers,
Right. Yeah. Right.
It also helps. Get a lot of value in that.
We all work in Microsoft Tech. We know that sometimes we'll unlock answers.
Hashtag community.
We hope that there will be answers at some point to some things, but yeah.
Do they have to be correct?
Yes. Do they have to be correct answers? I don't know. If you're confident, do you have to be correct if you have your confidence level high?
fake it till you make it, they say, right? Just give me any answer. I'm okay with that.
Well, Michael, really appreciate you joining the show this month. It's great to have you again. We can keep talking, chatting about this, sharing other experiences. So we'll definitely have to have you come back in the future and join and share some more of your experiences. I know we have the next couple episodes. So we have, as I mentioned, I'm not sure the order will be, but we've got Erica Tullig coming back, talking about the latest things that are happening in Purview and around compliance specifically. So if we get the Microsoft perspective, we've got Sue Hanley lined up. We've got a few other guests that are out there. We are always looking for more guests and other ideas. So please comment, let us know, or if you'd like to be on the show, reach out and talk to us about that. And with that, I think we're a wrap, folks.
Listen, Michael, thank you so very much. Always great to see you.
Thanks for having me. It was so much fun.
I appreciate it.
Thanks a lot, everybody. We'll see you next month. Sometime in August at some point, we'll be live again. Probably on a Wednesday. That's always our goal, to be on a Wednesday.
Okay.
All right. See you later.